All right, everybody. So here I am. For those of you who know, I'm Krista Molione, and this is my video series called Coffee with Coaches. And today I'm really pleased to have with me a special guest, and we are in different time zones. So she's really given me the honor to take the time out of her schedule from the other side of the world. So please welcome to the show, Caroline Fernandez. And is that correct?
My full name is actually Caroline Fernandez. I put the word cares.
Cares. Oh, that's cool. I was like,
to amplify care.
I love it. I love it. I was wondering about that. Sometimes people have double names. But in any case, I'm so happy you came on because you have, you're a certified executive coach with the Marshall Goldsmith method, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about that. So how long have you been doing coaching, and how did you actually come into it?
Yeah. So first off, I'm really honored, to be a part of this message and this initiative. So thank you so much for having me on your show. And the reason I truly wanted to be a part of this is because I really felt connected, and the whole initiative and the intention really spoke to me directly. I've been in coaching for a really long time now. I've been in the space of learning and development with large organizations, multinational companies since 2000. And once you're in those kind of companies, there's always the opportunity to get into something like coaching. So I've been coaching since I think about 2006, 2007. But I really started to dive into it over the last 8 years when I got certified and things like that. So it's been a journey. It's evolved. And it's always been something that I've loved doing. I enjoy coaching. And I really see value. I have coaches myself, so I understand the value of having a coach.
And do you specialize just in executive level, or do you have other areas of expertise or people that you'd be willing to coach?
That's a good question. I think there are different ways that coaching can be expressed. And while I'm, certified as an executive coach, the framework and, the type of program that I integrate into coaching, I use for entrepreneurs. I use for mid-level managers as well. And it's really very structured, but it also has an in-depth amount of understanding of how the brain works, why it's process driven and it's not an overnight journey. And so I have coached several people who are not executives, but who might be transitioning into an executive role, or starting out a business, or moving from being an executive to joining a startup. So I think the form is really flexible, but the structure and the understanding around coaching pretty much remains the same.
Well, that leads me to a really good point, is not only who you coach, but what is coaching. So there's been a lot of discussion lately between what is mentoring versus coaching. And some people draw a very strong line between mentoring and coaching. Other coaches kind of merge their techniques and use a hybrid. What is your approach? I mean, let's say you are working with a client and very quickly you understand that they may need mentoring because they're trying to start up their business, and you're a business owner. I know, Caroline, are a social entrepreneur as well. So, when does that social entrepreneur come and say, oh, this person could use mentoring? And do you offer it, or do you stick with coaching, or work with someone else and recommend, or?
Right. So, the practice of coaching does not require me to have expertise or experience that the client has. If you look back on, the evolution of coaching, it really started from sports and the idea of, coaching being a tool to achieve measurable goals. And because the practice was so successful over there, they started to bring it into business and, many other verticals and industries that really needed this kind of tool towards achievement and success. And I say that to say this, that, I've coached people who are CEOs, COOs, and I've never been in that role myself for a large organization. But I have the expertise and, the skills to enable and empower and support these people because of the practice, because of the tools and the techniques that coaching as a practice offers. And mentoring is really the other side of the coin. I need to have some experience in that field. So, maybe being a coach and coaching a coach is really where I would use a hybridized, approach, because I have experience as a coach. And so playing a coach and a mentor makes sense. And so I have clients that, I've coached who really need mentoring in the field that they're in. And that's when I recommend people in their field to kind of start to connect, build their network, and get out there and kind of see what's happening in the market to really help them open their mind. And so, both of these are mutually exclusive. One is really science-based, it's measurable, it has, a lot of understanding of how, like I said, the brain works. And the other is about expertise and skill sets in a particular industry.
I love how you presented the differences. So to repeat back to you, mentoring is about using your skill set to help someone else go to the next level in that area of expertise, versus coaching, where a coach does not have to have expertise in the area of the person they're coaching, because it's more psychology and mindset. Is that what I understand? Okay.
Yes, that's right.
And I like that you refer to others. One thing that I've noticed myself is sometimes when I encounter someone who desperately needs mentorship in the area that they're trying to achieve success in, by coaching them to get over their fear of reaching out to a senior person in that market, the person that has the high level expertise who they admire, but they're too afraid to reach out to, we can coach them, and then there's two problems solved. Because we coach them, they release their fear and they were able to reach out to that person and get a partnership as a mentor from that person. So that's something interesting I've noticed with how coaching can actually help with mentoring as well, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
So here's one thing also is, how do you know as an individual if you need coaching? So a lot of people are wondering, well, if I'm doing okay in my career, I can get by without a coach. Why would it be a good sell for them to still hire a coach? If they're not failing openly, right? Or they're not desperately seeking a job or something. They're just doing okay. What would you tell them, like, why they would still need a coach?
So there are two parts to that question. In my experience, everybody can use a coach, regardless of where they're at, personally or professionally. There's always an area that you can grow better into, become a better version of yourself, unlock potential, get obstacles out of the way, be able to see things that you're not really seeing right now, maybe because of conditioning or because of self-limiting beliefs. And a coach can get you there, like you said, off the record, it can get you there faster, and in a more scientific way. The other part to that question is that something that a really great coach or a good coach will do is to first assess if a client is ready, because coaching requires willingness. It requires a certain level of openness to the next level of growth, and if you don't have it, you're not coachable.
I love it. And that's another interesting discussion. So recently I've been talking to coaches who say, I don't want to do free pre-assessment calls any longer with potential clients. Instead, I'm putting out content every day on social media. I've got a free maybe group that they can watch videos, or maybe a YouTube channel, so they can get to know me. And whenever someone reaches out, I don't accept to meet with them. I send them to my website and tell them, check me out, here's what I'm about. And then if they're interested, they have to pay and then have access to the first coaching session. And other coaches say, I would never do that, because what if someone pays, but they're absolutely not ready for my coaching? So what is your philosophy, or have you had that kind of experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely wouldn't, want to speak on anybody else's behalf and how they choose to design the strategy behind, their program and the reasons why they do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that coaching is very personal. And, I would love to get a sense of the coach that I'm going to be putting my life into, that person's hands, and trusting that person and opening up to that person with often a lot of really confidential information that I've probably never shared with anyone else before. And that level of trust would require me to have a conversation, just have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And my method is to first have that conversation, to get people to know me, and for me to know that person as well. And if there is a first level comfort, if there is a first level of just the feeling that this person is someone who wants to lean in and support my growth, this is a person who is genuine, and has the expertise that she claims she has, then I would definitely be encouraged to sign up for a program. And that
Right.
would be my methodology to really be able to allow people and invite people in.
I have respect, like you, for everyone's different viewpoint. I do find it quite surprising that some coaches think that just by watching a video recording of themselves, that person will feel the synergy or not. But hey, in the end of the day, does it work for their method? Does it not work? So I totally understand that having the call, the initial call, to understand the customer first and see if there's synergy or not is a very valid approach. What about setting expectations? So we have our call to kind of get to know each other. You explain your philosophy, and maybe you figure out what am I really after in that call, right? So if you've really understood, oh, she's not really coachable because really what she needs is just mentorship, she's looking for expertise, then you would know that in the call right away, and we wouldn't waste each other's time, or you would refer to a mentor, etc. But if someone is coachable and everything's going well and it's like, where do I sign up? Then how do you give them a realistic expectation of what to expect in terms of, number one, how much work they need to put in to it? If it's not just you like coaching and they're receiving, but like, what do you expect from them back?
Yeah. I believe that it is a co-created process. There aren't any definitive goals or outcomes because all of us are different. I have several clients that I've coached from the US, from the Middle East, from Australia. And so, we all come with so many different backgrounds and stories. So I think a great coach is willing to listen, is willing to create that openness, but also, like you said, being able to share, the style and the philosophy is something that I truly believe to be valuable for every session. And this is something that I start every session with, uh, being able to establish the foundation, my core values, the values behind the co-created program with the client, and everything is documented so that we understand the journey of how far we've come, in what direction we want to take it. Because a lot of times in my experience, as we're growing and as we're opening up, things start to change,
Mhm.
perception starts to change, and sometimes a lot of the goals and outcomes also start to evolve.
Mhm.
And so as a coach, it would be premature for me to push someone into a rigid framework. There is a structure behind the coaching, but I think for me to have that flexibility to allow the growth to unfold, to allow people to come in authentically and say, you know what, at this point, I'm not really feeling this goal. I would rather focus my attention on a goal that's making more sense for me in this phase of my life. And I've had clients do that. I've had them say that, it's changed. The perception of that goal has changed. And it's okay. It's okay to be like that.
I love it because I guess when someone comes in and they haven't been coached before, they may have some goals that are superficial, shallow, or not really in touch with their values. So their motivations for those goals may be very superficial, if you will. And once they start uncovering the depth of finding their why, finding their passion, finding their purpose, they may think they know those things, but once they get deep with you or with the coach, then suddenly those priorities evaporate and you realize the true purpose and their path kind of unveils itself in front of your eyes. And you're like, wait a minute, this goal that I thought was what I want to do is not in line with my values. That's why I haven't been really succeeding in it, because subconsciously that is not what I'm meant to do. So that's what fascinates me about coaching. And part of the reason I'm doing these videos is because I just want people to know the magic happens. It's not a mentor program that you pay a fixed amount of money and then you learn a skill set. It's not like taking a digital online course or a workshop, right? It's really like a journey with the coach, and like you said, it's so personal. um, so with that in mind, like, when does a person know that they have outgrown each other? Like, as a coach, I'm sure that you would agree with me that people need different types of coaching at different parts of their life. And so, like, working with you, we move the ball forward, and then when is it time to say, okay, you graduated, or you can fly on your own? Or maybe we've graduated just from each other and you should work with another coach to take you more in depth in a certain direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the thought process. I think it's very honest, it's very authentic. I love where you come from. I hear the service mindset in you, and these are really valid questions because very often, uh, you know clients as well as coaches will know. You will know when you come to that point.
Hmm.
uh, it's just you're perceptive about it, as you're going along through the journey, that the client is now ready. And the client will tell you too. The client will say, I really feel, I've gotten what I was looking for through this program. And, it's been great. So I think that, those aren't things that we can really control. I know that, from a structural perspective, we say 3 months, we say 6 months, we say a year of coaching. But, you can't really predict when it will end, because I've had clients sign up for 3 months and extend it to a year, and vice versa. I've had clients who have talked about a year and wrapped up in 8 months, just because they have gotten to the point that they have envisioned seeing themselves at. And so, although timelines are important, they're not everything.
Well, comparing it with sports coaching or sports personal training, I know personally a few people who set some kind of fitness goal, and the coach was so good that they were able to hit it much earlier than they thought. And they're like, for me, just to run a 5K was what I thought it would take a year. And in 3 months, I was running a 5K. So, maybe they keep working with the coach and set new goals, but it's true that
Yes.
it is a process. It keeps going. And if you're like, this is all I've ever dreamed of and I'm happy, then I guess that's a mutual understanding that you can fly on your own, right?
So some of the biggest names in business have lifelong coaches. They don't end with 3 months. So it's really about the way you look at it, and what you want to get out of it. And like you said, I have clients who, we define outcomes, they achieve it, and then they stick on, and we revise outcomes, we revise goals to the next level. And they see value in the support ongoing, because they know they cannot do it alone, and they don't want to do it alone. They want someone who will support this journey in the most authentic way, because they can see it. They can see the movement, like you said, move the ball, and what next? What next?
Well, that brings me into a point of growth, like rapid, beautiful, expansive growth. I think that a person who hasn't received coaching doesn't even imagine is possible for themselves. The saddest thing about those self-limiting beliefs that I've come to know on a personal level, as well as working with others now, is how we set the bar really low for ourselves sometimes, because it's either perfection, or for yourself it's like, well, I could probably never achieve this financial goal, for example. And then with a coach, the coach will say, let's take that financial goal and let's double it. And the person's like shaking their head, like, there's no way I can possibly hit double the goal. And guess what? With the coach, they hit double the goal. So this is an example of how you're discussing that, how we can push the bar further and further and higher, but they would never be able to do it on their own, because on their own, they've been way down here.
I have a client right now with a very similar story. She was earning a certain amount, and in that first session, we outlined an amount, and she kept saying, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And it happened in under 6 months. And, we were it was amazing. But at the same time, like I said, so, we evolved through the process, and she stepped back and she began to reevaluate the role that she was in, because then she wanted to transition into a role that was, aligned with where she was then. And so the money was achieved, but then she wanted to look at being coached to transition into a different role altogether.
Well, that's what happens when you unblock people's minds. Suddenly they realize there are actually no limits of what they do once they put their full energy towards their why. And it's really with the coach that they can even see those potentials. And once they get there, then it's like, well, wait a minute, now that I'm here, that there's never an end goal is what you're saying, right? It's just like once we're there, we see things completely different. It's like when you get to the mountaintop and you look down and it's your whole viewpoint of your world has changed. So those goals that you thought you wanted, or the career you have been working at, may no longer be big enough for you. Now it's like we need the bigger mountain to climb, right? Yeah. No,
Absolutely.
You're getting me so excited about coaching again, because
Awesome.
I seriously never fail to be amazed by coaching. So I'm going to wrap it up with a question about where to get in touch with you, because that's a big problem. One of the reasons I'm doing these videos is because people don't seem to know where to find coaches, and they don't trust you. So that's the second thing is, credentials and trust is like, well, where is there a website that has certified coaches that you would recommend people go to? Can we find you on there? Or how would people go about looking for a coach? And then lastly, of course, how can we get in touch with you mainly? Yeah, a lot of questions.
Yeah, so I think, with social media, it's gotten a whole lot easier. As long as you're on social media, building content, talking about your journey, and sharing, case studies authentically, sharing your experiences, you're already building, credibility, visibility for yourself. I'm on LinkedIn. I can be reached on LinkedIn. I'm also, accessible on the Marshall Goldsmith network too, and people reach out to me through that as well. I have my own YouTube channel. I create content on Facebook and Instagram. Uh, but I believe the social proof is in the kind of content that you create, the value that people start to see in your content. Because there's only that much that you can create that um, takes you to a point of what next. But if you're growing as a coach as well, and your journey is inspiring, and people can connect at a very practical level, they will find you. They will find you.
That's great. So I'm going to put your contact info into the end of this video. So I'll talk to you afterwards what exactly is the best way. But you already said LinkedIn, YouTube, the website for the certification. That's really great advice, because I think people are concerned about, well, I don't know who's a real coach, who's not, and I don't know what the word real means in people's eyes, but I think they just want some kind of vetted coaches. So,
Well, I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. This is so sweet of you.
no,
And I mean it. I'd love to set up a time to get you featured on the Speak Up series as well.
absolutely. And I'm going to stop recording this, but I wanted to just say for the audience is that Caroline is one of the people who is a vetted coach. The only people I'm highlighting in my video series are people who I have personally seen giving it all their passion, all their knowledge, and I can tell their hearts are all in the right place. It's not about selling to people or trying to squeeze more money out of people. I can see you've been consistently delivering amazing content for the past year that I've known you, and I can just see your heart is in the right place. You're helping people, and I'm not doing any videos by people soliciting to me. So people have reached out, can I be featured on your coaching call? And I say, sorry, at this time, I only work with people who I have already observed long enough, who've been consistent enough that I know they're legit. And so, keep posting on LinkedIn.
I'm so honored.
Maybe I'll be.
Thank you so much.
So just wanted everyone to know that Caroline's not, these are the people I want to spotlight. She deserves it. So you'll see how to reach out to her and hire her. And if you're not interested right now in hiring her, maybe you're not ready or you're working with a different coach, you can always just follow her content, because whatever speaks to you is a good indicator of if she would be a good coach for you. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.